Hi everyone, and welcome to another GCSE PE in 3. Now if you've not watched one of these videos yet, you can go back and watch all the others that I've made. Now these are for revision, or they could be used for flip learning, so you could watch this video in advance, ready for your next lesson or in preparation for that lesson, okay? So we do a mini topic in 3 minutes. So this one is on the short-term effects of exercise. So what we mean by short-term effects is what's happening while you're performing, okay? So you'll have to also look at the long-term effects. I'll try and get a video for that done as soon as possible so you can compare. So short-term effects, you probably know you get hot, you get sweaty. Now in edexcel, they don't really ask you for those things. They ask for a little bit more in-depth physiology. So the first thing you've got to know about is what is happening to your muscles when you exercise. Now your muscles start to get tired. Now the GCSE word we use is fatigued, okay? So you start to get fatigued, you start to get tired. And why is that? Well, the reason is that there's a lack of oxygen getting to your muscles and the muscles start to fatigue. It might be you're now working anaerobically, you're having to go faster, or it's been a very long game and you're now sprinting towards the end and your muscles are starting to get tired. That's because lactic acid is building up, and that occurs because you haven't had enough oxygen getting to your muscles, okay? The next thing that happens to your muscles is cramp. Now, fortunately for us, this doesn't happen all the time. It normally only happens in endurance events like the marathon or long tennis matches, long football matches, extra time, or a tournament. And again, it's because you've been exercising for so long, dehydration in your body where you haven't had enough water, the muscles start to go into cramp, they can't operate correctly, okay? Now, the next one we'll look at is the heart. So the short-term effects on the heart, probably you know the first one, and that's your heart rate goes up. Your pulse that you can feel on your neck or your wrist, you'll feel that increase. And even when you go for a warm-up jog, that's going to go for about 100. Now, if you go for a sprint, it's going to get closer to 200. Okay, so as soon as you start exercising, that goes up to match your level of intensity. Now, why it does that is because it's bringing oxygen around your body in the blood cells to be delivered to the working muscles to make them operate. So your heart rate has to go up because it's the pump that delivers that oxygen. Now, the next thing that goes up is something called stroke volume. Now, you've probably not heard this term if you're doing this maybe before you've done the circulatory system. But stroke volume is a term that simply means the amount of blood that leaves the heart every time your heart beats, okay? So each time your heart beats, it squeezes an amount of blood out, and that's called stroke volume. Now, if we do a little equation of heart rate times stroke volume, what we end up with is a thing called cardiac output. And if you're exercising, your cardiac output also goes upwards. Okay, so you're ejecting more blood out of your heart over a whole minute. Okay, now breathing, that system, the respiratory system and the breathing, they have effects too. First one you probably notice is you start to hear your breathing, and what that means is you're breathing deeper. So you're taking bigger breaths each time to bring in more oxygen into your body, to take that into your lungs so the blood can then transport it away. So you take deeper breaths, and we call that tidal volume. So your tidal volume, that increases too. And the last one is you start to breathe quicker. And we call that your breathing rate. So you start to take more breaths. You start to take bigger breaths, tidal volume, and you start to take more breaths, and we call that breathing rate. Okay. Thanks for watching this video. If you've not, go and check out the other ones, and I promise I'll get the long-term effects as soon as possible. Take care.